Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to Gita Diploma course. Today is our 12th day and we are going to study chapter number 11. Before that, let me thank each one of you for joining live with us. It's going to be a very dramatic chapter today because it's about Lord Krishna's universal form. Something wonderful, extraordinary, so colorful, also sometimes horrifying. So this chapter happens to be quite dramatic in the whole Bhagavad Gita. There's more to actually imagine and watch in front of your eyes, of course, through your imagination. So before we begin this chapter, let's quickly say our prayers. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the session yesterday, we discussed chapter number 10, which was about the opulences of the Lord. That opulences are seen by a devotee or a spiritualist as a reminder to remember Krishna, God, in all situations, at all times. That was the key why Lord Krishna gave that knowledge to Arjuna. I hope you understood that being in this world, we may not always have a picture of Lord Krishna in front of our eyes to meditate upon. But Arjuna has been repeatedly instructed by Lord Krishna that he should constantly think of him. So then how does it become practically possible? Only when whatever I see in this world, whether it's a building out of my window, or it's a car on the street, or it's a person coming from the other side, it's an electronic gadget, whatever, I'm able to see that object or that person in relationship with Krishna. Because Lord Krishna is the source of everything, as he said in chapter 10, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha Mattaha Sarvam Pravartate. Everything comes from me. That means everything by default has a connection with Lord Krishna. And seeing that connection helps us to remember God at all times, at all places, in all situations. So that's what was the science taught in the previous chapter. I hope you are with us on the same page. You are able to understand the concepts of Gita as are being explained. So in the previous chapter, we discussed all this. Krishna is the source of all in the first 7 verses. Then Chatushloki Gita, the zip file, right? Arjuna accepts Krishna's supremacy, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Devyam, Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. And then Lord Krishna describes his vibhutis in detail at the request of Arjuna. He describes 82 vibhutis, and then he says, there's no end to it. It can just go on and on and on and on and on. There's no limit to it. I'm just telling you the primary ones, Arjuna. And then he concludes the chapter by telling that my ultimate vibhuti is that I have entered into this universe, and through just a small tiny particle of mine, I'm managing the affairs of the whole universe. I'm controlling the whole universe. Now this sparks an interest in Arjuna to know about that tiny form, which is all pervading, which is located everywhere. So Arjuna then begins this chapter 11 with a request to Krishna. He says, Arjuna uvacha mad anugrahaya paramam guhyam adhyatma sangitam yatvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. First of all, Arjuna does something which we all have to learn to do sufficiently, and that is he thanks Krishna. He's grateful to Krishna. He's expressing his gratitude and appreciation. He's saying, Mad anugrahaya paramam. You have been very kind upon me, very merciful upon me, that you gave me this wonderful knowledge. Something which is confidential. That knowledge you gave to me. So I'm so thankful to you. Actually, it is so, isn't it? Arjuna was so much immersed in darkness. Darkness means confusion, darkness means frustration, darkness means sadness. When you don't know in life what you are supposed to do, life is really difficult. It becomes tough. And Arjuna was going through that moment in his life, very difficult, where he was even thinking of committing suicide. He was crying, he felt so helpless. And Krishna so kindly has helped him to come out of that darkness and now come to knowledge, come to know what he is, what he is supposed to do. He has instilled confidence again in Arjuna. So Arjuna is so grateful. It's like getting to live once again. You know, you lost your chance to live, or you wanted to die, but someone comes with a new ray of hope in your life. Let's start fresh in a better way, much better way. So Arjuna felt like that. Now by Krishna's help, he has overcome fear, he has overcome lamentation. Earlier he had a heavy heart, now he has a joyful heart. So he's so thankful. He's expressing his gratitude to Krishna and saying, I'm so grateful to you. Because now he's not the same Arjuna, he's different. He's changed now. Now that cloud of illusion is very much gone. And what questions he's going to ask now to Krishna, are those something for our benefit? His doubts are clear. Now he knows who Krishna is, he knows what he should be doing, but he's just clarifying more so that it's better for us to understand this knowledge more in much depth. Looking again at the verse, then it says, Yat tvayuktam vachastena moho yam vigato mama. By listening to your instructions, your words, my illusion is gone. That's the translation of this verse. By my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. So further, he makes some more statements. Bhavapyayo hi bhutanam. O lotus-eyed one, Lord Krishna has many names, and one of them is Kamalapatraksha, which means the one who has eyes like lotus petals. So, O lotus-eyed one, I have realized your inexhaustible glories. Arjuna has come to know how Lord Krishna is the source of everything, everyone, and how he's aloof from everything. He's all pervading, yet he's not present everywhere. So he has understood all this inconceivable nature of Krishna by Krishna's mercy. He has heard, as I mentioned, 82 examples of Lord's opulences. So he's thanking Krishna for that. Now, before we dive into the next set of verses that's coming, let's discuss on this subject, which is so essential to know, the names of God. Now, how many names does God have? One, two, no name at all, infinite. Can you give a new name to God? Is it so? Or it's pre-decided? And if it's pre-decided, how many are there? So how many names are there of God? Unlimited, many, infinite. Very good, thank you. Yes, that is so. So God has innumerable names. Innumerable. You can't count them. Cannot count them. Why innumerable? He is the proprietor of entire thing, and the entire thing is almost as good as infinity. It's so huge, there's no limit to it. He is the proprietor of all the universes, everything that is created. So he has infinite names. Infinite names. And we see that even in this world, there are so many things which have so many names. Talking about the sun. Now, the sun, we all have seen the sun. We might be living in different cities, different countries, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, different continents, close to the sea level, at a much higher level. But we all have seen the sun. And we see the sun's right on our head at noontime, that you also see, I also see. The sun rises in different lands at different times, sets at different times. The temperature is different. But is it only one sun, or there are many suns in the universe? Like the sun in India is different from the sun in Japan, the sun in US is different from the sun in China, or it's just one sun? It's a very simple question, of course. Even a child can answer it correctly. So is it one sun or many suns? It's one sun, correct? It's one sun giving us light at different places. But the same one sun is known by different names, right or wrong? Right, isn't it? You know that the sun is also called as Helios. It is also called as Sone. It is also called as El Sol, and it's called as sun. And in Hindi or Sanskrit, we have so many other names of sun. It's called Surya or Suraj. And when you do Surya Namaskar, then these are the 12 names that you used to refer to the sun: Mitra, Savitra, Ravi, Arka, Bhanu, Bhaskara, Khaga, Hiranyagarbha, Surya, Marich, Aditya, Pushna. So just the sun has so many names, and even ordinary people have so many names. They may have their pet name, they may have their writer name, surname, some designation, some achievement has made them acquire a new title, new name. So many such names are there. The legal name. After you get initiated, then you also have a spiritual name. So we see that humans have multiple names, objects have multiple names, so God can also have multiple names. That's why in Mahabharata it said Vishnu's 1,000 names are counted. That doesn't mean that Lord Vishnu just has 1,000 names, but 1,000 names are counted there. Vishnu Sahasranam. In Quran, 99 names of Allah are given. So in Gita also, we come to know that Lord Krishna has multiple names. And in Bhagavad Gita, he has been addressed by these many names. Like you can see in the table, chapter 1 has 7 different names, chapter 2 has 1, chapter 4 has 2. So I will give you a very simple exercise now. You just have to count the total and tell us how many total names of Krishna appear in Bhagavad Gita. How do you do that? You just sum up everything that you see on the screen in the table. Let's see who is quick at counting and mathematics. So how many names you get to know of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita? The maximum names come in the chapter we are discussing today, chapter number 11. It has 36 different names of Lord Krishna. Very good. So your calculation is nice. It is 68. 68 names of Krishna. Right? So these many names are there, and these different names have different meanings. So I would like to also explain something more about this topic. There are 2 types of names. Though the names are infinite, those names are of 2 types. One is called secondary name, and the other is called primary name. The definition is, secondary name means the name which is related to material world, Lord's activities in material world, material creation. Primary names are activities of Lord related to spiritual world. Makes sense? Like, let me ask you, give me an example of a secondary name. Think about it. Sometimes people confuse between secondary and primary. So give an example of a secondary name. The definition is some activity of God related to material creation, material world. So that's called a secondary name. Try. Okay. Secondary name. Let me give you an example. Like if you call God as God, that's a secondary name. If you call God as Trilokeshwara, the controller of 3 lokas or 3 planetary systems, That is secondary name. And many such names might be there. Now, can you give an example of a primary name? Primary name. Give example of primary name. This is easy. There are so many primary names. It's related to spiritual activities. Krishna. Okay, very good. Krishna is there. Murlidhar, very nice. Gopal, very nice. Govinda, good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, so you're on the right track. Like Nanda Nandana, Murlidhara, these are primary names. Now, last question in this context. Is Allah a primary name or a secondary name of God? For that, you have to know the meaning of the word Allah. So, is Allah a primary name or a secondary name? Allah means the great. The great. Allah means the great. That's the meaning. So, what kind of name it is? It is actually secondary name. It's not related to his spiritual activities, right? It's related to material creation, material world. So we'll show you a list here now of secondary names and primary names, like Jagan Nivas, Paramatma, Vidhata, Parameshwara, Almighty. These are all secondary names. When you talk about primary names, Krishna, Yashodanandana, Govinda, Shamasundara, Gopinatha, these are all primary names of God. Lesson. Just as the sun is one, but is known by different names in different places, so the Lord is one, but his names are many. It is not that God is many, and therefore his names are also many. It's one God with many names. Moving ahead, evametad yathatvam atmanam. So Arjuna said, you said, with a single fragment of myself I pervade and support this entire universe. Krishna said, yes. So Arjuna then said, then I want to see that form through which you pervade the entire universe. I want to see that form of yours. So then Krishna, he looks at Arjuna with a question on his face, question mark on his face. Arjuna, you don't believe my words? I'm telling you, you don't have faith? Are you not accepting what I'm saying? So Arjuna mentions to Lord Krishna, oh Krishna, you are sitting in my heart. Don't you know why am I asking you this question? You are Paramatma, so you know everything what's going on in everyone's heart. So you know why I'm asking this question. I'm not asking this question because I doubt your words. I'm asking you this question for some other reasons. So what was Arjuna's reason to ask the Lord Krishna to show him that special form through which the Lord pervades the entire universe? What's that? What is that? What is that reason? So there are many reasons, but primary reason, why does Arjuna want to see Vishwarupa, the universal form? Can you please help answer this question? Why Arjuna wants to see the Vishwarupa? There are different reasons, but what is the primary reason? The main reason why Arjuna wants to see the Vishwarupa? Does he doubt Lord Krishna's words? To convince others. Yeah, very good. To help others. He wants to see for everyone else to see. He wants to help them. So, so that other have faith. Correct. Right? So that other have faith. That's why he wants to see. So there are four reasons why Arjuna wants to see the universal form. First of all, he wants to see so that people can understand Lord Krishna's glories. This is so natural. If you like someone or love someone, you would be very happy if others also know or come to know about that person's greatness, that person's good qualities, that person's glories. So Krishna is Arjuna's friend, Arjuna is Krishna's true friend. That's why he's very eager to share with others. Look, how great is Krishna, who is my friend. So that's one reason. Then the second reason is he wants to establish Lord Krishna's divinity for all, that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Arjuna wants to prove this to everyone. Third, to convince that Krishna is truthful, not that Krishna is just telling a lie. I'm managing the affairs of all the universe, everything comes from me. No, he's also getting a proof here. Krishna doesn't just say that, he also shows that, he proves that. And finally, to set a criterion. In Arjuna knew in future there might be people who are imposters, who are pretenders, who are not God, but who may claim that they are God, right? To cheat people. So Arjuna is setting a criterion that in future, if anyone says, I am also God, okay, you prove yourself then. Show the universal form. If you can, we do accept you as God. So here we have another quick lesson coming. The Supreme Lord God is everywhere and in everything, but it does not mean that everything is God. God or his incarnations are not ordinary, and a person, however great, cannot become God ever. So Arjuna wanted to tell people of this world, come on, you want to know God? This is here. He is present here, and his name is this. He wanted that knowledge to come in the front and people be convinced about it. So then Arjuna says, Manyase yadi tat shakyam. He doesn't demand from Krishna. He doesn't order to Lord Krishna. He says, if you think that I may be able to behold your cosmic form, then you kindly show it to me. I mean, it's your wish. It's up to you. If you think you want to show it to me and I can see it, then you please. It's a humble request. I'm not demanding from you, Lord Krishna. So then Krishna says, but Arjuna, to see that universal form, you need a special vision. Your normal eyes cannot show you the universal form. Ordinary vision is insufficient to show the universal form. So how will you see? And then Lord Krishna's question is very beautifully answered by Arjuna. He says, my dear Krishna, you are Yogeshwara. You are the master of all the yogic powers, which means you can do anything and everything. So is it difficult for you to give me those special eyes that will allow me to see the universal form? You can do that. And then Lord Krishna agrees, okay, fine. So then he agrees to show the universal form, but before he shows the universal form, he describes what the universal form looks like in 4 verses 5, 6, 7, and 8. So he says, Pashyame Partha Rupani, that Arjuna, in this form, you will see all these things. You'll see my opulences, you'll see hundreds and thousands of colored forms. You'll see the Adityas, the Vasus, the Rudras, the Ashwini Kumaras, the other demigods. You will see all of them. Now, question mark means there's a question for the audience. Let's see how much you remember from yesterday. We discussed this. I am dash among Adityas and I am dash among Rudras. Let's see who is able to answer this rightly. We just discussed it yesterday in the chapter of opulences of Krishna, where Krishna says, I am so among the Adityas, I am so among the Rudras. So what were those names? Can you please fill in the blanks? Oh, so you don't remember, huh? I am dash among the Adityas. Yes, I am Vishnu amongst the Adityas. And I am dash among the Rudras. I am Shiva among the Rudras. Thank you for those who gave the right answer. It's Vishnu and Shiva. Also, and then he says, Arjuna, you will see what no one has ever seen before or no one has even heard of before, which means this universal form is like, it's like a magic, what do you say, a globe. It shows you whatever you want to see. Crystal, magic crystal. You want to see the past, the present, the future, anything about anyone. So you can see what no one has ever seen or heard before. You'll see the past, present, future, whatever you wish to see. Here itself, sorry, there's some type of mistake. Here itself, now itself, not itself, now itself. So again, a question for all of you. Krishna said, Arjuna, if you want to see the future, you can see the future also. What future would Arjuna want to see? What would be his interest in? That Arjuna would want to know, okay, this is going to happen in the future. This can be answered using common sense, as well as what you have already discussed before in the first chapter and second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What was Arjuna's desire to see in the future? Yes, very good. Thank you. So we have some people who gave it correctly, the answer, right? Arjuna would want to see the outcome of the war. What will happen in this battle? Who will win? Who will lose? Who will die? Who will survive? That's what Arjuna wants to see. The result of the battle, right? What will be the outcome of the war? That would be Arjuna's most sorted information from the universal form, the battle result. So then Lord Krishna says, Na tu mam sakshise drashtum, but you cannot see me with your present eyes, Arjuna. I am giving you divine eyes to see this universal form. And after that, Lord Krishna then tells Arjuna, behold my mystic opulence, and he puts on the movie in front of Arjuna's eyes. He has been given that special vision so he can see, and the movie begins. And the name of the movie is Vishwarup Darshan, or the universal form. Okay, so what Arjuna saw, we will come to know soon. But at this moment, Arjuna has stopped talking. Krishna has also stopped talking. Krishna is showing, Arjuna is watching. So there is some silence. So there is silence also in the palace of Dhritarashtra. Sanjay is not speaking anymore because they both are not speaking anything. So then Dhritarashtra kinds of checks from Sanjay that what happened? Why did you stop? And said, well, they stopped. They are not talking to each other. So Dhritarashtra said, so what did Krishna show to Arjuna? And then Sanjay begins to describe to Dhritarashtra how the universal form looked like. But it was so difficult to describe because even Sanjay had not seen anything like that before. Now, how could you describe? If you have seen something before, you can compare, this looks like this looks like that. But here, Sanjay also was having the first experience. So Sanjay tries his best to give a mental picture to the blind Dhritarashtra that what was the universal form. And he starts by telling the first verse which Sanjay uses to describe the universal form is, he says, Aneka Vaktra Nayanam, Aneka Adbhuta Darshanam, Aneka Divya Bharanam, Divyanekotitayudham. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine upraised weapons. So he's saying many. Actually, it's innumerable. He cannot count. So everything is so much in plenty. Many. And he's using the word divya, which means Dhritarashtra Maharaj. I cannot compare these things to the things which we have experienced in the material world. All of these things look celestial, heavenly. That's how they are. Let's look at just a glimpse of what would have been the universal form. It's a beautiful painting. So this is what Arjuna was seeing. This form of Krishna is also known as Vishvato Mukham, one of the type of worships that Krishna mentions to Arjuna in chapter 9, verse number 15. So then Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya, how does this look like? And Sanjaya says, very bright, very effulgent. Now, how effulgent? And then Sanjaya says, as if thousands of suns have arisen in the sky at the same time. Has anyone ever seen thousands of suns? You have not seen I have not seen. No one has seen. Not even two suns. But Sanjay is saying, please, my dear king, try to imagine as if thousands of suns have arisen in the sky. So he's just trying to say that I cannot explain. It's so bright. It is so bright. It is so bright. Then Dhritarashtra again questions, where did Krishna show this vision? I mean, did he take Arjuna to a special place to show this vision? And Sanjay says, no, right there in the battlefield, in front of everyone. Dhritarashtra then asked, in front of everyone? So did others also see? And then Sanjay says, no. Arjuna could see, not others. So Dhritarashtra then asked, what was Arjuna's reaction looking at the universal form? What would be Arjuna's reaction? Let me ask you. Look at this picture. You can see Arjuna standing there on the chariot. What is Arjuna's mood right now? Fearful. Very good. Shocked. Bewildered, astonished, afraid, amazed, scared also. Yeah. Amazed, true. Illusioned, in awe, prayerful, overwhelmed. Correct. So he is frightened, he's distraught. You can see that on his face. So that was Arjuna's reaction. Sanjay says Arjuna was bewildered and astonished because he had not seen Krishna in such a form before. It's called Adbhut Rasa or Vismit Rasa. And his hair was standing on end with folded hands. He's bowing down and praying to the form. So then Arjuna describes what he is saying. Pashyami devams tava deva dehe. Arjuna describes who all he saw in the universal form, where all he saw the universal form, and what was that form. So who all he saw? He saw all the demigods, all the entities, Brahma, Shiva, all the sages he saw. And what all things he saw? He saw many arms, many bellies, many mouths, many eyes, many crowns, many clubs. And finally, till where did he see all those things? He saw it spread everywhere. Everywhere is the universal form. Right, left, top, bottom. And it's like wherever my eyes go, I just see the universal form. There's no end to it. There's no beginning to it. There's no middle to it. Sounds interesting, isn't it? The whole sky is full of something colorful. And such kind of forms, like as we showed to you in the screen before, the slide before. And now what happens is, you see, Arjuna is looking at the universal form. Suddenly his eyes fell upon a certain section of the universal form which piques his interest. Before I go to explain that, I want to let you know that this universal form of Lord Krishna is like a conscious television screen. Like, you have television at your home or a screen at home, then you control it using a remote control. You tap on the buttons and it responds and changes the channel for you. Or you may use, nowadays there is Alexa and all that stuff. So you speak out, I want to say this, I'm on that channel, and then it will do it for you. But this universal form was a conscious, you can say, a screen where Arjuna was able to see what he wanted to see. Whatever was going on in his mind, the universal form will accordingly change the channel. Very interesting, right? So Arjuna's eyes now fell upon a certain part of the universal form, and he becomes interested to know more about it. Immediately that universal form starts zooming in, and then it spreads, and then he begins to see something very distinctly different from what he saw before. And this scene was very horrifying, very frightening, because it was a special part of the universal form. What is that? We'll come to know a little later. That's a suspense. But it looked something like this. There were so many mouths which had huge flames, fire coming out of their mouth, and everything was getting burned. People were crying, and so much of destruction was happening. So Arjuna begins to then describe that what he is seeing. He says, Anadimadhyantamananta Viryam. He says, the sun and the moon are your eyes. Blazing fire from mouth is coming out. The whole universe is burning. Everyone is scared. The demigods are scared. They're taking refuge in you. Some are very frightened and praying with folded hands. Even the great sages, the Maharshis and Siddhas are saying, oh my dear Lord, peace be peaceful, please be peaceful, swasti, swasti. And then he says, everyone is looking at you in amazement and everyone is completely distracted. Everyone is so afraid. That's how you can imagine it looked like. And when Arjuna is seeing that, when he says everyone is afraid, he himself is also afraid. So he says, as they all are disturbed, so am I. I am also very fearful and disturbed. That was the expression of Arjuna. So then he requests to Krishna, please be kind upon me, please be merciful to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing this form. I am losing my control. When he said so, suddenly he saw something again very interesting. All the people there are being shattered, being killed by this universal form. How? People are just entering into the mouths, thousands of mouths, and these mouths have very sharp teeth. And all these people, when they're entering into the mouth, the jaws of those mouths are crushing these people's heads and arms and legs and making small pieces of them. They are getting powdered actually and chopped into small pieces. And who were they all? Arjuna saw that happening to Bhishma, he saw that happening to Dronacharya, he saw that happening to Karna, he saw that happening to all the sons of Dhritarashtra, he saw that happening to even his warriors. So basically, now here, what is happening? What is Arjuna seeing? What is Krishna proving by showing all this to Arjuna? Whatever Arjuna is seeing now, what is Krishna proving by showing this? Future? Yes, he's showing the future. Very good. He's showing the future, but he's also telling something else. He's also proving something else, that he is keeping his promise. He kept his promises. What were those promises? We'll come to know soon. But he kept his promise. That's what he wants to show here to Arjuna. Now, the way Arjuna looked, those people entering into the mouths of the universal form, is described in Bhagavad Gita using two analogies, descriptions. One is that of rivers entering into the ocean, and the other is that of moths entering into fire. How many of you have seen a river entering into the ocean? It makes huge sound, so much of water gushes into the ocean, so it makes sound. So that is also quite a horrifying scene sometimes. And also, you must have seen moths entering into the mouth of fire and getting killed. Both the river and the moths, they have an end. When the river merges into the ocean or the moths merge into fire, they end. So an interesting question may come up here is, Why is Arjuna describing the end of Kauravas or the soldiers on the battlefield using two examples? He could have just said, everyone is entering into your mouth just like the rivers are entering into ocean. Or everything is entering into your mouth, the Kala Rupa, just like the moths, they enter into fire. Why does he decide to describe everything using these two examples? It's an interesting question, right? So let me answer it for you. It's difficult. Arjuna uses these two examples because the river entering into the ocean and the moth entering into fire are different. In this way, the river naturally enters into the ocean. That's how the course of the river is. It collects it collects water from the mountains, the rain, everything, and then ultimately it goes and ends into the ocean. But the moths, their natural end is not fire. It is their foolishness, their attraction for fire. And that attraction ends up in their death, leads to their death. So Arjuna is trying to explain that in this battlefield, some of the people who are dying, they are dying their natural death. It is their time to die. And they are dying in a very religious manner, which means they are not being punished, but they are just finishing their life because their time has come and they will be awarded a future benefit for it. But there are people on this battlefield who, because of their nonsensical activities, have invited death much before the time when they were supposed to die. Because of their wrong deeds, they have embraced death, just like the moth embraces death before it is supposed to die. Because of attraction towards fire, it goes, embraces fire, and fire kills it, burns it. Similarly, Arjuna says there are people who are dying like that. And who are those people? Those people are those people are the Kauravas. So, a question for all of you. Did Kauravas do something which shortened their life? And what was that thing? And at that time, Lord Krishna had promised that because the Kauravas have done this task or then this activity, they will be punished. They will have to die. So, what was that thing that the Kauravas did, because of which their death is compared to the moths entering into fire and dying? If you cannot answer this question, that means then you don't know Mahabharata. Yeah, they try to strip off the clothes of Draupadi. They try to insult Draupadi. And when they tried to insult Draupadi, they were cursed to die before their death. When you disrespect a woman, then your lifespan gets reduced. That's what the scriptures say. That's what Dharma teaches. And that's what Kauravas did. So they died in that manner. Hmm? So this form of Krishna which Arjuna was seeing now, that is known as Kala Rupa. It's a different form than the universal form. It's a part of the universal form. So, a quick lesson: every single being takes birth with a fixed span of life to live for. However, if one misuses the life by performing heinous acts, one's lifespan is shortened and one has to lose the race and valuable life prematurely. So then Arjuna, looking at the universal form, asked Lord Krishna this question. Akyahi me ko bhavanugra rupo namostute deva vara prasita vigyatumichhami bhavantamadhyam nahi prajanami tava pravrittim. He's asking, Akhyahi me ko bhavan ugra rupo. This very fearsome form of yours, what is it? What is it? I wish to know what is it and what is the purpose of it. Vikyatum ichchami. So in this verse, he's asking two questions. The two questions are, who are you? And second, what is your mission? What do you want to achieve? And Lord Krishna then answered, he said, Kalosmi lokakshay krit pravittaha. Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds. Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds. I destroy the world. I am that time, Kalosmi. And what do? Already mentioned, right? I have come here to destroy all the people. So then Arjuna says, destroy all. And Krishna says, yes, all except you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers on both the sides will be slain, will be dead. And that's what actually happened. 18 Akshauhani armies fought on that battlefield just for 18 days. And everyone died. Everyone, almost just everyone died. Only few survived. Now, do you remember or do you know how many people survived in this great battle? What was the count? Answer please. 10 people, 11 people, okay, 8 people. Answer is 10 only. Only 10 people survived. Who are those 10? On the side of Pandavas, 7. 5 Pandavas, Satyaki, Yuyutsu, and on the side of the Kauravas, Ashwathama, Kritavarma, Kripacharya. These people survived, right? So only 10 people survived, and except all of them died. So Arjuna says, if all are going to die anyway, why are you asking me to fight? Anyway, everyone is going to die, so let them die. Why I should fight and I should get the sin of killing so many people? And then Arjuna says, Krishna says, to give you glory, Arjuna. Arjuna says, you mean to say I will kill all of them? Do I have such powers? And then Krishna says, of course, you are known as Savyasachi. Sabyasachi is a very special name. It is based on a quality. Which quality is that? Any warrior, Kshatriya, who is an archer and who can shoot arrows with both the hands, basically is ambidextrous. That person is called Sabyasachi. Generally someone might be a right-handed arrow shooter or someone might be a left-handed arrow shooter, but Arjuna could hold the bow in the left hand and shoot with right hand, or hold the bow in right hand and shoot with left hand. Both he could do with same expertise. So that's why he's known as Savyasachi. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you're no ordinary man. You are a very extraordinary fighter. You can definitely kill all of them. Do not be disturbed. Do not be fearful. Now you see, this is all being described by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra. So when Dhritarashtra is hearing all of this, what is going on in his mind? You can imagine. What is going on in Dhritarashtra's mind when he's hearing all this description given by Sanjaya? Is he happy? Is he worried? Is he miserable? He is afraid. He was upset. Yes, he was afraid. So he's just so sad. Oh, this is what is going to happen. My sons are going to die. Yeah. And then Sanjaya says, shivering, Arjuna bowed repeatedly with folded hands and then he spoke in a stuttering voice. So now Arjuna is still continuing to look at the universal form, and then he begins to pray to Lord Krishna. And this is a very instructive section of this chapter. From Arjuna, we can learn the art of praying. Very beautiful. So Arjuna prays to Krishna in 11 verses 36 to 46. But his prayers are divided into 4 parts, and there is an order in which he prays. So first, what he does is he glorifies Krishna. Second, what he does is he offers obeisances or pranams to Krishna. Third, he begs for forgiveness to Krishna. And fourth, then he makes the request, whatever he's going to ask to Krishna. So from Arjuna here in Bhagavad Gita chapter 11, we are learning the science of praying or the art of praying. We too pray to God. We too ask him for things. So we can follow this order. How to ask? The science of asking. Just like, when we're in school, I remember maybe standard 4 or 5, something like that. We were for the first time taught how to write a letter, an official letter, an informal letter. So the letter had a particular systematic way of writing it. You at the top write to whom you want to send it, then at the bottom, then you write your address, then you write the subject, then the body, at the end your signature there. So similarly, when you want to convey your heartfelt feelings to God, you want to pray to God, also there is a science of doing that. And we can learn that science from great devotees of Krishna. So that's what we can learn from Arjuna here. How to pray to Krishna? What are the steps? So the first step is he glorifies Lord Krishna. He says how Krishna is so great. Second step, then he offers obeisances to Krishna, shows his respect. He basically is seeing the universal from all around him. So he's saying, I offer you obeisances thousands of times. On the right side, I offer obeisances. On the back side, I offer obeisances. On the front, on the left, when I look at the top, I offer obeisances. At the bottom, I offer obeisances. You are everywhere. You are everything. And then he begs for forgiveness. Because he's thinking, I might have done something wrong. So let me ask for forgiveness. So what wrong he might have done, that is very sweet. Let's chant this verse, very melodious verse. Sakheti matva prasabham yaduktam He Krishna He Yadava He Sakheti Ajanata Mahimanam Tavedam Maya Pramadat Pranayena Papi. It's a very sweet verse. Arjuna is saying, Sakheti Matva, thinking you to be my friend. I called you by different names, but I didn't know who you are actually, how great you are. And that's why I have done such things to you. So now a quick question. When you generally call someone who's elderly to you, how should you take his or her name? What should be the etiquette followed? Very casually, you'll call out that person's name, jokingly, informally, or how? That person is superior to you, elderly to you. So how would you call that person's name? Respectfully. Thank you. With respect. So what Arjuna is trying to say to Lord Krishna here, you are God and I should have taken your name with much respect. But it seems I did not do that. I called your names very casually in a very friendly manner. So this might be a big offense actually at your lotus feet. So please forgive me for that. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. Please forgive. So he's asking for forgiveness. And then he says, I request you to forgive me because I am yours and you are mine. We are related to each other. So it's natural that, when you're in a relationship, someone is close to you, that person may say something to you which will offend you, or may do something to you which will not be so much appreciated by you. And you might be angry upon that person. But because that person is your friend, your relative, very close to your heart, very naturally you will forgive that person, isn't it? So Arjuna is saying, because I'm yours and you're mine, you kindly forgive me. Just tolerate me the way a father tolerates his son, the way two friends tolerate each other, or the way husband and wife tolerate each other and forgive each other. So you please tolerate me. Forgive me for the mistakes I might have committed. And the reason I might have committed those mistakes are, maybe I am a mad person, or maybe I love you so much. So I did not consider calling you as, Shriman Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna, or Mr. Krishna. I just said, Krishna, come here. Right? So you kindly excuse me for my mistakes. So in this way, he begs forgiveness in a very sweet manner, and finally he puts the request, what he wants from Krishna now. So he says, Adrishta purvam hrishitosmi drishtva. First of all, he thanks Krishna. After seeing this universal form, I'm happy, I'm glad. And Arjuna is very clever. Though he's afraid, he's telling Krishna, I'm so happy to look at this universal form. Because if he says to Krishna, come on, I don't want to see this horror movie anymore, Krishna may object, but it's you who asked me to switch on this movie. I didn't want to play it for you. So then Arjuna is saying, yeah, I asked you to show me this movie. So I'm thanking you. Very kind of you to show this movie. I'm happy I watched it, but I don't want to watch it anymore. Please, 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 let's change the scene. Let's get back to the original scene. So he is telling to Krishna, after seeing this universal form, I'm gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Please reveal again your beautiful, enchanting form. So Krishna says, which form, Arjuna? So then Arjuna first of all says, your four-armed form with helmeted heads and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. So this is the form of Narayana or Lord Vishnu, four-armed form. The reason Arjuna is asking this question is very simple. He wants to prove it's not just that the universal form, which is like having thousands of hands, comes from Krishna. Even the four-armed Vishnu form or Narayana form comes from Krishna. Krishna is the source of all the personalities of Godhead. That proof is there in Bhagavad Gita, right there in chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita. So first of all, it was Vishwarup of Krishna that Arjuna saw. Before that, he was seeing Krishna's two-armed form, Dvibhuja Rup. Then he asked Krishna to show his Chaturbhuja or four-armed form. And at the end, he will request Krishna to show his two-armed form known as Dvibhuja. As you can see in this beautiful painting, Lord Krishna, changing from four-armed form to two-armed form. It's such a beautiful painting. We should be thankful to all these devotees who have made these beautiful paintings for us to see these pastimes and activities. So soothing to the eyes, right? So this is what Arjuna saw here. Now, let me ask you a tricky question. There are three forms that you see on the screen, listed out on the screen: Vishwarupa, Chaturbhuja Rupa, and Dvibhuja Rupa. Which of the three is the most difficult to see? Which one is the most difficult to see? Okay, so the right answer is two-handed form. Dvibhuja. The most easy to see is Vishwarupa. The most difficult to see is Dvibhuja. Who says that? Krishna will personally say now to Arjuna, right? He will say that this form of mine is Sudurdarsham. Sudurdarsham means very, very difficult to see. Very difficult to see. Much more difficult to see than the Vishwarupa. That's why those who do not understand Gita properly, they think that Vishwarupa form of Krishna is the greatest form of Krishna. That is only the powerful form of Krishna. But Krishna's two-armed form is the sweet form of Krishna, Madhurya Roop of Krishna, and that is more confidential than to see the Vishwarup. The demigods, they easily see the Vishwarup, but the demigods don't have a chance to see the Dvibhuja Roop, two-armed form of Krishna. They hide and see that form because they are not qualified to see that form or not allowed to see that form. Even they crave to see that form, the two-armed form of Lord Krishna, because that's the most confidential form of God in the spiritual world. The universal form is only limited to the material world. So when Arjuna saw this beautiful form, he was so happy again, you know. Then Arjuna says, what qualification is required to see this beautiful form of yours? So Krishna answers that, but I want to check with you. That Krishna says, study of Vedas, austerity, charity, worship. He gives these options. So, which of these things are required? These qualities are required to be able to see the two-handed form of Krishna, which is so confidential, so rare to see, most difficult to see. Which one of these qualities required to see that form? What do you have to do? Study the Vedas, do a lot of austerity, give charity, do worship. All of these, actually, the answer is none. We tricked you with the question. The answer is none. Lord Krishna says, none of these can help you to see my two-armed form. You may study the Vedas, you may do austerity, you may do charity, you may even worship me. But that doesn't qualify you to see me in my two-armed form. Then Arjuna says, then what qualifies people to see your two-armed form? And then Krishna says to Arjuna, Bhaktya tvananya shakya aham evam vidhorjuna Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding, which means only by unalloyed, pure devotional service one can know Krishna or see Krishna. There is no other way. So he tells to Arjuna, perform pure unalloyed devotional service to me. And that's where this chapter ends, titled Three Forms, Vishwarup Darshan Yoga, Yoga by Direct Experience. Quick 5 lessons. You can, of course, start sending your questions, and I request you again and again, keep your questions related to the topic. Don't ask too many questions. Ask genuine questions, less questions, meaningful, which will help you also benefit others, right? And your question should inspire me to answer them. First, be always grateful. Learning from Arjuna that how God is giving us so much every day, but do we take out time to thank Him, express our gratitude, thank again and again? If we actually see all the different things that Lord Krishna is arranging for us in our life, so many things, then if you see that, we have all the reasons to be thankful to Krishna. But what we do is we're always complaining, why this, why that. A person who complains too much can never be a devotee. A devotee never complains. A devotee is someone who's always thankful, grateful. So Arjuna is being so grateful to Krishna. Second, give the knowledge of Gita to others. That's the best gift. So you gift Gita knowledge. Uh, that's the best gift to give to people. And Arjuna is doing that now. He has understood from Krishna the essence of Gita. Now, within the Gita, he's trying to also help others by getting this message across to them, asking questions which might come up in their minds for their benefit from Krishna. So, whatever you are learning from Bhagavad Gita in these sessions, do share. Don't be a miser. Speak about it to your friends. Ask them to do the course, watch the episodes, and be benefited. So, you have got the knowledge, and then you spread the knowledge. You give it out to others, right? Next, respect time. Respect time. Why? Because time is God, time is Krishna. So respect time, and then time will also respect you. Then you'll be able to achieve a lot more. So many people complain, I don't have time to do this, to do that, life is so busy. It's not like that. We can do a lot more than what we are doing every day if we just know how to respect time. Respecting time means you start things on time, you do things what you're supposed to do at what time. You don't waste time by doing unnecessary useless stuff, and in that way the time then becomes your friend and companion. Fourth, art of praying. We are learning from Arjuna how we should pray, what should be the mood, and what should be the process of praying. And finally, am I with God? In this chapter, Krishna told Arjuna, I'm sorry, that Arjuna, I want to share the credit, the glory with you. So these people are all dead. I'm just asking you to become a nimitta, an instrument to get them killed. In this way, you will get the credit and you will get the glory. So Krishna is actually asking Arjuna to work for him, to work for him, right? That is what Gita is teaching all of us. Who are we working for? Are we with God, or is just that we want God to be with us? Abraham Lincoln, the president of the United States, the late president, the first president, he said, people generally in this world, they say or they claim God is with us, but hardly few exist who think if they are with God or not. So that's the question that we all have to ask ourselves. Are we always looking for God to be on our side and support what we are trying to do? Or are we interested in supporting God in what He wants to do? What is our mentality? Who are we? What are we trying to be? So ask yourself, are you with God, or you just want God to be with you and do things what you like to do, fulfill your orders or desires and supplies? So Arjuna's request was discussed in this chapter first. Then Krishna summarized the description of universal form in verses 5 to 8. Next, what did Arjuna see? Sanjaya's narration. Experience by seeing, asked the question, who are you? Krishna answered, I am time. Then Arjuna says, the prayers, wants to see the four-armed form. Krishna shows that. Krishna even shows the two-armed form. And Arjuna says, very beautiful. And then Krishna says, that form can be seen only by pure bhakti. All right. So we'll take questions. And as I told you before, I'm just going to take questions which are relevant. Other questions I won't even touch, please. So Vrinda, she has this question. How did Sanjaya see Vishwarup without divine eyes? Very good question. So how do you know that Sanjaya did not have divine eyes? Sanjaya was blessed with a divine vision already. He had divine vision. That's why he was able to see Arjuna and Krishna conversing on the battlefield. He could hear the entire Bhagavad Gita which Krishna was speaking. Not just that, he was able to see the entire battle that was happening. So he was able to see all of that because of the divine vision he had received from his guru known as Vyasadev. And with that vision, he also got the vision to see Krishna's universal form. And it was not that just only Sanjaya saw the universal form. Anyone who was given the divine vision by Lord Krishna saw it. The demigods saw it, Sanjaya saw it, some more people saw it. And Krishna gave the divine vision to them also. Fine. Next question. No Yadavas participated in war. How come Satyaki was there? Very good question. So Yadavas participated, but not the way you are thinking. First of all, one whole Akshawani Narayani Sena participated in the war. That was Krishna's army. And then Satyaki, being a very close uh, disciple of Arjuna, student of Arjuna. Arjuna taught him how to fight with bow and arrows, and also being the personal chariot driver of Krishna and bodyguard of Krishna, would never leave Krishna alone, would always go everywhere with Krishna. So, because Krishna participated in the battlefield as a chariot driver, Satyaki also participated as a fighter on the side of the Pandavas, and he fought very well. Okay, similar questions. How Sanjaya saw, how Sanjaya saw. I answered that already. Um, Rita Sharma ji, please explain the Dvibhuj Roop of Lord Krishna. What explanation exactly you are looking for? The description of the Dvibhuj Roop is what do you want to know about Dvibhuj Roop? Dvibhuj Roop of Krishna is basically that Roop which we generally see in the paintings. Krishna in Vrindavan playing the flute. Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Taraya Taksham Barhavatam Samsitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Vachami. Krishna playing a flute, having a peacock feather on his head, curly long black hairs, right? Lotus-like eyes, three bent form, and he's wearing a garland of forest flowers, wearing pitambari dhoti, right? His complexion is the color of dark blue cloud. That's Krishna's two-armed form, and that cannot be seen just by anyone. When Krishna was present also, though he was present in front of everyone, not everyone saw Krishna like that. They were bluffed. They saw Krishna just as ordinary human. But those who are devotees of Krishna, they were able to see that beautiful form of Krishna. Siley, Russell. Is it always true that everything happens in our life, we are acting as instrument? No, it's not like that. Only when you choose to act as an instrument in Krishna's hand, you become an instrument in Krishna's hand. Otherwise, you are an instrument in Krishna's material energy's hands, Maya Devi. So it's our choice. Everything here in this world is happening by arrangement of providence. But then that providence is who? For those who are not surrendered to Krishna, that providence is material energy. Maya Devi, she controls our life. She arranges everything in our life. She basically makes us an instrument. Only when we become surrendered to Krishna by practicing devotional service, bhakti yoga, then you become an instrument in Krishna's hand, and he starts to fully control your life. Okay. Parital Sudhakarji. Vishwarup darshan of Lord was given to Dhritarashtra prior to Arjuna, even though Dhritarashtra is not pious. Any specific reason? The Vishwarup darshan which Krishna is giving now to Arjuna, that proof was shown to no one before. Krishna himself just said in this chapter, right? No one has seen this before, no one has heard about it before. This is the first time Krishna is showing it to anyone, that's Arjuna. So what Krishna showed before to Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, that was just a very tiny part of the whole Vishwarupa. It was just a small thing to make them frightened, to know that God is, Krishna is great. So that was not what actually Arjuna is seeing now. It's not same. Okay. Is Vishwarup also having separate dham like Golok Dham? No. Vishwarup of the Lord is not outside material world. There is no spiritual world Vishwarup darshan. Vishwarup is only within the material world. That's why it is not that confidential or special like the form that Krishna has in the spiritual world. It's a form limited inside the material world. That's why it's called Vishwarupa, the form of the universe, material universe. How one can attain the divine vision? So we can attain the divine vision for what? For seeing universal form or for seeing the two-armed form? Which one you are asking? For two-armed form, Krishna said by devotional service. Universal form, for that you have to acquire a lot of punya, you have to acquire a lot of yogic powers, and then if Krishna wants to show to you, he will show to you. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you so very much. We will end here. Nice to be with all of you in this course, in this journey. We have completed 11 chapters. Now only 7 are left, so we'll catch up with them also soon in the coming 2 weeks. See you next Friday. Hare Krishna.